Hi, I'm Paul Demery, Managing Partner at a large scanning company. What you can expect from this webinar today, we're really going to help you understand why and how people go paperless and the features and benefits that you're going to expect to receive. We know time has value, and the reason you have come here today is to help find ways to run more efficiently and cost effectively in your business no matter what industry you're in. And what we're going to do is walk you through the steps necessary to make good decisions in going from a paper-filled office to a paperless office almost. That will definitely help you cut costs and become more profitable in your industry. Thanks a lot, and now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Gordon Vavrick.
Hey, thanks so much, Paul. I look forward to walking us through this webinar today. Some of the topics we're going to be covering is just your paper-filled office that you are working in today, just some of the problems and issues, and some of the opportunities it presents, and then how we can cut costs going paperless, some of the features and benefits, and then just the necessary steps for you to consider this and to get moving forward. So with that, let's get started. So we are aware that you do have choices out there, and your choices break down into three categories. One is to just go ahead and change the way you're handling your paper. Just keep your paper. Store it, save it, move it around. Keep your expenses where they are. Make it difficult to maintain competitiveness in your industry, and definitely compromise your security. The next one would be a software-based product, which would mean you get to go buy more hardware and servers for your company and people to manage those, whether they're employees or subcontractors, and probably very limited usership. So it's the most expensive way to go and very limited rollout throughout your company, not the most efficient way to go. And then the next way would be a good web-based solution. The only hardware you need are a few scanners, maybe just one scanner in your company, depending how big it is, and then the company will train your people virtually or on site. They will train you, give you live demonstrations, and give you a period of time to try the product out with no exposure to you, the company. So a web-based solution would be the first and foremost place I'd look as you're planning on going to a paperless office. Just so you understand that we also look at just what happens in your paper-filled office and where the problem comes from, and then just exact opposite where the real opportunity comes from. Your productivity is severely hampered by the amount of time and energy you spend saving paper today in comparison to scanning and electronic document management. It's expensive to store the paper. The cost of your office supplies is going up every single month, it seems like, and the labor to put those things up and the cost of your labor. The lack of security of the information that's on that data and that paper that you're saving. Those are just real problems that you need to consider. Then, are you prepared for disaster? What kind of backup do you have? What happens if there's a fire or a storm of some type that damages a lot of your paper? And then the competitiveness of your industry. Are you being hampered on how competitive you can be in the way you price things, and what the margin you make on that pricing based on how expensive it is to run your company? And then your just ability to serve your customers. That's not always the easiest to do with a paper-filled system. So those are problems which really end up being great opportunities. So as you're looking at this paper-filled office that you have, and you're considering going paperless, just know that some of the problems that you have really are opportunities. Ways that you can win back some time of your people. The time that they're spending filing, looking for files, retrieving files, putting files away, and the lost productivity that comes with doing that wandering around bit within your office. So just know you're going to get that time and increased productivity back by going to paperless. You'll never get it back staying with the paper you have. And then, are you compliant in the way that you're saving and storing your documents, your employees' documents, and your customers? Really understand what your security and compliance requirements are and make sure that you're meeting those. In this last little look at your paper-filled office here, what we want to make sure you know that we're aware of. We know that your top line has dropped down considerably, that your revenues are down, and the cost to run your company is up, leaving a much smaller, if anything, on your bottom line, your profitability of your business. So what we want to do is help you attack those fixed costs. Attack them in such a way that your people aren't given more duties and more things to do. You're able to actually get more productivity out of your people because of increased efficiencies, increased security, and many other byproducts that the paperless office brings you with no compromises. So we know that you're running on a smaller budget and that it's important that every dollar counts. We want to help you save more of those dollars to your bottom line. So where are some of your opportunities to cut costs come from? This is a place for you to plug in your numbers And those numbers include all the office supplies and the time you spent filing, refiling, and looking for files, transporting files, couriering files around. So we'll supply you with this. It's a nice, simple to read, easy to use spreadsheet. Have your office manager, your controller fill in the blanks. It'll take them about 2 minutes. And immediately you'll have an idea of what you're spending and really what the true value of a paperless office should cost on the front end. This will be a good place for you to see how to save money and where it's going to come from. So once you have that spreadsheet filled out, that's going to give you your basis point. What am I spending today saving paper? And who can I free up some time with? And really, where does that freeing up time go? And what can I have them doing? And that time is going to be time that they aren't spending looking for files, retrieving files. In your business, your more expensive people, senior management and ownership, are the people that need things that you have filed away. Let's not make them spend any time at all finding that. Just a few seconds to find a file versus minutes and minutes over and over every single day. And then your lowest paid people filing. And now we can just give them that duty to do in, again, seconds versus minutes. So how much time spent generating files, how much time spent retrieving files, and what are you spending storing those things? Those are where your real savings are going to start out and be very evident. What we've learned over the last 6 or 7 years with our scanning solution is that the two biggest features and benefits are time and productivity. The benefit being the extra productive work that gets done as a result of the time not being spent having to file and refile and look for files and offsite storage. So you file something once, just as this person is doing on the screen here, and it never has to be filed again. You can move it around with the click of a mouse, access it with the click of a mouse, even add to it. You never have to refile. With a good web-based solution, you're going to be able to retrieve these files from any internet connection. If you've been given those permissions on the front end, you'll be able to log in from any internet connection and have your office filing cabinets at your fingertips. Minimize the amount of time people spend wandering around the office, talking to others as they're putting files away or they're retrieving files. The last big thing is now what do you do with that extra time you have with them? Put them to work doing things that are more productive and accountable for the business to run more efficiently and more cost effectively. All too often, security and compliance are neglected and not looked at close enough in a paper-filled office. Going paperless will only enhance your security and compliance to your industry. Now, not in all cases, and that's a good question to ask, but it should break down into a couple areas. Who can get into what file? What can they see? How hard is it to set up those user-level permissions? Can we manage things that are added and removed from files? Do we know who's done those things? And what kind of access do we have as far as the network people can get into? If it's web-based, can we minimize the network that they're trying to access from? And can we control that from anywhere? And the answer should be a resounding yes. Okay, the last piece here on compliance is, and again, we're considering looking at a paperless office. That's why you're here. Make sure that the product or the solution that you're looking for helps you to maintain your compliance. Whether it's Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, or GLB, are you going to be able to be compliant using that system? Is there any extra cost? Whatever it might be. But make sure you know what your requirements are for your industry and that your new paperless office helps you to maintain that requirement. So after going through all that information, what's really stopping you? And there's the three things that really come out the most are cost. Boy, I don't know how much it costs, or it sure seems expensive. Well, once you figure out what you're paying already for saving paper, you have a good rule of thumb to work with to start with. So don't let cost be an issue. Make sure that you've really done your homework, but understand cost should not be an issue. Then the fear of what papers you really can legally get rid of. Ask your accountant, ask your attorney. They'll have a good input on particular types of paper and documents that you need to keep the originals of versus those that are okay electronic. Then there's just too many choices. And what we want to do is we want to be a resource for you to help you minimize those choices. We'll help you understand what you do and don't need and be able to walk you through the process step by step. So it's time just for you to jump in and get going. None of us like to make poor choices, and this webinar was designed to help you understand paperless offices better and to make the right choice and make it a successful choice the first time. And the first and foremost is get the people in your office involved right from the start. These are the people that understand the flow of paper, storage and retrieval, and all the problems and inconsistencies and issues that you might have, and the costs. Then as you get close to a couple of vendors, make sure that you understand what kind of support and training they have. what the costing of that training is, and where does it work throughout the process, throughout the time of your relation with them, and what's the costing for that. And then see if they have any procedures set up that would be relevant to your company and how to make them work for you. And is there any extra programming or things necessary from you? But just make sure that they have a real setup and support team for you there. And then after you're up and running, what kind of ongoing training and after-sales support do they have? Get the pricing and make sure you ask those questions. And then you just need to look at your calendar, pick a date, and move forward. It's a decision that you'll be glad you made. Literally in less than 30 days, you're up and running. So pick a date and get going. So with that, I'm going to turn all this over to Paul DeMarais, and thank you so much for sitting in on today's webinar on the Paperless Office.
Thanks for listening to the Paperless Office Almost webinar. Now that you've gone through this, you've got a lot of questions and you may need some other help. We would like to help you. Here's our contact information. We're offering huge discounts for those of you listen to the webinar. Contact us and let us help you start saving money and cutting costs today. Thanks again for your time joining us for this Paperless Office Almost webinar. Make it a great day.